Yes.
Mr. Fortunato?
Yes.
Mr. Kinney?
Yes.
Ms. King? Yes. Mr. Sededicato?
Yes.
Ms. Sullivan?
No.
Mr. Budo?
No. I would like to point out that, Mr. Carroll, your speech last week was well over 5 minutes. Okay, so we're going to open board discussion on agenda and non-agenda items. Can you give me the list of who went first from last meeting? Is that possible?
Board agenda? No, I'd have to go back to the
It's
minutes.
listed in the agenda. It's the same list every
No,
week.
that's the committee reports.
Right.
But he's talking about on agenda items only.
Do you have the order of who spoke when in the last
I
meeting?
wasn't at the last meeting, so I'll have to go look at Mr. Lamb's notes. I was not at the last meeting, so I need to look at Mr. Lamb's notes, so you'll have to bear with me. Mr. Lamb, if you find them before me.
I'm looking as well. Thank you.
Can we just, John, maybe we could just...
Okay.
follow this
Mr.
over.
Fortunato and Mr. Kinney had no comments. Then Ms. Sullivan went. Then Mr. Sededicato. Ms. Koulikortis, even though she's not here. Ms. King. And then Mr. Carolyn. And then Mr. Budo. So Mr. Fortunato was first.
So who do you want to be first this time?
I went first last time, so it wouldn't be appropriate that I go first this time, John.
You want to go first? No.
James?
I have no comments at this moment.
Okay. I'll go down, Mr. Carroll.
Thank you, John. So commenting on some agenda items this evening, right? This is what we're on. Commenting on agenda items this,
Just pull your microphone a little closer.
thank you.
He's saying
All right.
he wants a timer. He's saying he wants a timer.
I can get a timer.
All right, hold on so he gets a timer.
Okay. So John, we're going to comment on the agenda items right now?
That's what
Okay.
his motion was.
Okay, here we go. All right, so just on the ESSER grants, Dr. Rosicky actually brought those up. So tonight for the board approval, the agenda is asking for approval of the hours for the teachers to conduct those after-hours sessions. So the Education Committee heard this and does vote for approval of that. Also, too, on the agenda, there are SAT and ACT proctors. We're doing this in advance to make sure that those proctors, a bio CPE textbook. The Education Committee supports this disposal. It's the same textbook that was approved for disposal at Indian Hills, and this is a request for the same book to be disposed of at Ramapo. Finally, tonight, the Education Committee supports the approval of the trip for the band in mid-March of this year. We've advised the trip leaders to work with the administration and ensure all proper permissions and safety protocols are in place for the trip. Obviously, this is probably the first action we're taking to have the students go on a trip, so we wish them all the best on that, and I'm sure that we'll have more to come. So thank you, Mr. Budo.
Mr. Kinney, you want to go next?
Sure. Just a point of clarification. Am I allowed to ask questions on the ESSA at this point? Yes? Just two quick questions.
I don't think there's I
no
think
limit.
your 5 minutes is your 5 minutes.
Okay, so they should be quick. Tom, I had a question about the ESSA program. Do we know what the effective rate of the bond is because of our capital reserves? I think that's one of the questions, and we can take this offline. But it's I didn't know if you knew that offhand.
I'm not
I don't think I understand the question. Could you explain?
We could self-fund this, or we can use the outside program to fund this, I guess is the question. So that's the question.
A district is allowed to self-fund an ESIP. Once a project gets to a certain point in the millions, you would have to hire a project manager in most cases anyway.
Okay.
So in most cases, I think you're going to pay a project manager even if it's self-funded, or do you pay an ESCO where the project management is included in their fee?
Got it. Okay. And is there any point where we are committed to, if we go through this process, that 5-step process that they presented, do we have to commit once we start, or is there a point that we follow up?
So basically, we would approve an ESCO probably in December if all goes well. Then they conduct an investment-grade energy audit when they bring an outside third-party vendor to do that. Then based on that audit, they would present a proposal for projects. And then we have the choice to include line item of what we want to include or exclude of those projects. The fee is negotiable. And even up to that point, we could walk away if we're not comfortable with it.
Perfect. Okay. So it's a non-committal. It's
Non-committal until probably next spring.
okay. Perfect. Thank you. As far as strategic planning is concerned, we did actually kick off on the 9th on this. We're moving forward on the 4 different paths. One is around thought exchange, where we've actually talked with the thought exchange guys as well as Dr. Dionisio around the workflow, so that's working. The board member interviews have begun. We have 2 scheduling conflicts, which I haven't had a chance to talk to the individuals. Some of you haven't signed up. If you haven't signed up, please sign up if your intent is to do so. From a district reports and data perspective, we are in the process of gathering this data. And to the question that was asked from the audience, one of the pieces of that data is the report that we talked about from the special ed group. And lastly is we will start scheduling bi-weekly meetings on this, either the week of 10-4 or 10-11, to start to move this project forward. So it's good to be able to be moving on this after, I think it's almost been a year and a half just because of COVID. So I appreciate that. The other thing that I also wanted to bring up is I do love hearing the student representatives. I think it gives a lot of color to really, some of the things that are really mattering as far as what's happening in the school. So I appreciate hearing them as well. And that's about it. So thank you so much.
Mrs. King, you want to go next?
So are we still having board comments at the end? We are, correct? Right?
Yes.
Yes. We're
Oh, I
just
didn't know.
discussing agenda items right now?
Correct.
My bad.
So, that's okay, I just want to, I'm just confused, it's new. So I have no comments at this time.
I'm going to go next, so you can go last. How's that? Or Ms. Sullivan, did you go yet? No. Okay, why don't you go?
I just had a couple of quick questions. Can I get a copy of the $93,000 IDEA grant that you're asking the board to approve? I think I had asked for it over the weekend. I still don't have a copy. With respect to the additional teaching assignments, are all teachers having a fair opportunity to apply for the same? Similarly, with respect to the trips, are they limited to just CPE students, or can CP students attend the trips? And then finally, when can we get a copy of, I'm sorry, that's not an agenda item. I'll leave that for later. That's it, just those 3 questions. Maybe Mr. Rashika can answer those.
Okay, so talking about the $93,000, the IDEA grant, I did not have an opportunity between last night and today to get that. I'm sure if Mr. Lamb has a copy, we can get that out to everybody.
We can get you a copy.
Okay, yeah, that's not a problem. The trips, I know that you pointed that out for the CPE, but if we like to incorporate all students, I haven't seen that really be something, so I think we have to update that piece, that the trips are open to all students based on what courses they're taking, or if it's a club. So, if you're in good standing and you can afford to be out of school for 2 days, because they're capped at 2 days of being out of the district, then I don't see any reason why they should be held back.
And then the teaching assignments?
Oh, the teaching assignments, we post those, and then teachers have an opportunity to apply for that and take it, so that's basically how it's done.
Okay.
I also checked, just so you know, I wasn't aware In this contract, I didn't see anything. Typically, in some school districts, they cap the amount of teachers. We don't have that. So again, we put it out there. As long as the teacher's willing to do it, we're good to take them on.